Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. So let's talk about Edgar Berlanga. A lot of people are kind of losing confidence in this guy. But to me, they shouldn't. But it's understandable. He comes out blazing the first 16 fights, knocking out the guys they had in front of him. But as you start to move up in competition, you realize you can't knock everybody out. And that's what he's starting to realize. You just can't get everybody out of there. And when people realize that, you're coming in there just looking for the big right hand, it's easy for a highly skilled boxer to take that away from you. So he was hyped up as being the next big star out of Puerto Rico. And he can still be. But what he has to learn from the guys like Miguel Cotto, the Felix Trinidad's, all the other boxers, all the other big name boxers who came out of Puerto Rico, those guys weren't just looking for one shot. And that's what's happening to Edgar Berlanga. Even in the boxing gyms out there in New York where he's fighting, he's sparring, they're saying that he's just demolishing guys. But he's not doing it with one punch. He's letting his hands go, he's setting traps. But what happens come fight night is something different. And remember, he's still young, he's still relatively inexperienced. And when you get the crowd involved, it can force you to kind of push for the knockout because you want to satisfy them and give the fans who paid their hard-earned money to come out to see you, you want to give them the knockout. You want to give them entertainment. But as a result, it's kind of making them look, I wouldn't say average, but it's making people feel like maybe he is not the next guy to carry that torch from Puerto Rico. But when I watched him fight, and I watch him stalk the opponents, he reminds me a lot of Miguel Cotto. He really does, man. Miguel Cotto wasn't super fast, but he just was technically sound. I don't think he gets credit for being as technically sound as he was. He knew when to throw his jab, when to throw his hook, when to let his hands go. And he was great on his feet. Miguel Cotto has stamina issues though. But when you watch Miguel Cotto when he gets up on his toes and starts boxing, it was beautiful. Now, we haven't quite seen that with Edgar Berlanga, but when you watch him moving around the ring, he just looks like a blown-up Miguel Cotto. But he has to learn from Miguel Cotto, and he has to learn from the Trinidad, because I'm going to really compare him to Miguel Cotto because of how he's built. But Cotto would just cut the ring off. Berlanga doesn't seem to know how to cut the ring off. Cotto would throw his jab. Berlanga doesn't throw a jab. At least he wasn't in the last couple of fights. Cotto would let that left hand, because he fought orthodox, but he was left-handed. So of course he was let the jab go a lot because he's left-hand dominant, and he let the hook go a lot because he's left-hand dominant. But these are things that Cotto was doing, and he would let his right hand go too. The way through combinations, he always ended up with that last punch being the clean-up left hook. Berlanga has to learn that. You want to get guys out of there, sometimes, it's just got to, through attrition and letting your hands go, that eventually, something's going to get there and those guys are going to cave in. In his last fight, he should have got the guy out of there. There's no way in the world that fighter should have stayed in there with Edgar Berlanga. No way. There's no way in the world that guy should have been in there with him. He should have got him out there, but that's what happened. You get a guy who comes in shape, he comes to fight, and, I'm not going to say his opponent was scared, but I would definitely say he respected the younger fighter, Berlanga. He respected him, and he respected his power. He didn't want to get hit with anything that would knock him out at all. He didn't want to get hit with that. So that's something that I did realize when watching that fight. That it wasn't what Berlanga necessarily was doing. It's more what his opponent was doing to keep him. I'm messing up this thing. Let me delete this real quick. Yeah, there we go. To keep him from cutting him off and getting a knockout. But Rozier has to figure out what he's going to do with him because, Top Rank, these guys, Bob Arum doesn't have an issue coming out and bad talking his fighters. Look what he did to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, in my opinion, best boxer right now, pound for pound. I think Canelo is running neck and neck with him, but I don't think Terrence Crawford gets the credit he deserves. But when it comes to Bob Arum, he didn't have anything positive to say about Terrence Crawford as far as how much money he's lost on him. You start pumping money into Edgar Berlanga, and then for some reason they don't get the return on the investment they want. That relationship is going to sour. So Edgar Berlanga, man, I just think what he needs to do is just get back in the gym and really focus on setting more traps, setting people up, and really learn to cut that ring off. If you're going to be a power puncher looking to go to the body, throw your hooks, and really break people down, you got to learn to cut the ring off and not chase after people. And you got to discipline yourself to not get caught up with the crowd. I think the crowd can get a lot of guys out of their fight and can end up getting guys knocked out because they start taking stupid chances. And the discipline goes out the window, and that's when mistakes happen. So with Edgar Berlanga, man, I like him. I'm excited about this guy's future. I just think he needs to make a few minor refinements, tweak a few things, and then Edgar Berlanga is on his way. I really do believe that. He wants it. And that's the difference. When you watch him fight, you watch him when they interview, he really wants to win. He really wants to be great. He really wants to be that ambassador for Puerto Rico boxing. That's something that you can't force that on somebody. You can't teach that to somebody. That's something from within. Even in his last fight, the fight before that, where he got dropped. So he beat the floor and beat his chest while he was on the ground. Like he doesn't want those things happening to him. So the fact that he didn't get what he wanted in his last fight, I think that's going to give him even more motivation to go back to the drawing board and really work on himself, man, work on his craft. And I think for sure that he can definitely do it and get where he needs to be. But he just hasn't had that discipline. And that's something that I know he talked to Felix Trinidad before. I'm not sure if his conversation with Cotto. But Cotto doesn't have a personality to sit back and try to explain anything to anyone. Cotto's very standoffish. Some people say he could be a bit shy at times. There's a guy I met the other day when I was at this hospital, and he and I were talking. He happened to be from Puerto Rico, and he said he and Miguel Cotto used to hang out a lot when he was in Puerto Rico. And he talked about when he used to go to clubs and stuff like that. And when he told me that Miguel Cotto was really quiet, he said, but he loves women. And he said that what gets Miguel Cotto in trouble a lot. He said, but he's really quiet. He doesn't talk to a lot of people. So when you look at him, a guy like Berlanga, who may be wanting feedback and wanting guidance, and I want to fight like you, can you help me? Cotto's not built like that. I can't see him going out his way to try to now train or help show Berlanga how he cut the ring off and how he did things. Cotto doesn't seem to be that kind of person. So Berlanga's just going to have to depend on his team and they can figure it out because there's something there. And you can see it. He's a superstar, but he's going to have to make some changes, man, if he wants to get beyond this impediment. He's got something here that's preventing him from getting to that next level, and it's himself. If he can figure that out and resolve that, he's on his way. And I'm looking forward to what's to come with this guy. And he's going to get a huge payday because he has not the whole of New York behind him, not the whole of Puerto Rico behind him. This guy has a whole culture behind him. And I'm not talking about Spanish culture and all that, and Latinos. I'm talking about hip-hop. He's like how Zab Judah is when it comes to hip-hop. So he has all the right people in his corner. So if he can get back on his knockout winning streaks, you're going to see Berlanga, man, all over the place. Because he's got the look, he's got the personality, he's got the swag. And, if he's winning fights and becomes a champion, and he has that to add to his marketability. So looking forward to it, but they got to get back there. They got to work on that jab and cutting off the ring. And he got to move his head a lot because he was getting hit with a lot of shots. Can't keep holding your right hand down. You got to get your hands up, man. Because you get in there with a heavy hitter, he's going to get dropped again. He's going to get hurt. He's going to get knocked out. He's going to get knocked out if he doesn't learn to keep that hand up and move that head down. He just quit looking for walking people down and try to knock them out. You can't knock everybody out. You just can't. It's not how it goes all the time. Nevertheless, if you like this video, man, please subscribe, hit the like button. Shout out to all the veterans. Y'all take care. Love for all, hate for none. And as always, I'm